Warning, this review is entirely pointless. It is just the ramblings of a random person on YouTube about a game that is most likely irrelevant at the time of viewing. There is no numerical score at the end, just his dumb opinions. You have been warned.
Hey, this is Zarlin, and welcome to a pointless review with Zarlin of Zarlin Gaming. This is my first one ever, doing Yes Origin. A game originally released in 2006 in Japan, came over to the PC in 2007, and released in 2012 on Steam not too long ago. It's a prequel to the original Yes. Supposedly, this game is supposed to give a lot of background to a lot of the main overarching story points of the other games. This game's story focuses on 3 playable characters, Yunka Tova, Hugo Fact, and his brother who is unlockable, Toll Fact. All 3 characters are going through this demon-infested tower in order to search for the twin goddesses and the Black Pearl, which they have brought with them. Each character has their own story with their own problems and trials that they have to overcome, but only Toll's is considered a canon ending and leads into Yes 1. Gameplay is pretty simple. You run, you jump, you slash or shoot things depending on your character, and you can gain abilities going through the levels. These abilities will either help you with platforming or will help you with general combat. Some enemies can only be killed with certain abilities. The real challenge comes into boss battles. Instead of just hacking and slashing your way through like you have been with all the other enemies, these bosses have their own unique mechanics and abilities that make you feel like you're fighting something epic. Most of them require you to jump on top of them or interact with their body in some other way instead of just slashing at their feet because they are so large. Some of them have mechanics that make you feel like you're in a 2D shooter with bullets flying everywhere. Other ones you have to dodge fists that come down and break platforms so you don't fall into the lava. Overall, they all feel unique and difficult, especially on higher difficulty levels. And I feel that is the best part of the game, besides just the storyline, is fighting those great bosses. Now, this game does have some problems here and there. The way this game works is pretty much if you don't get all of the quote-unquote secrets throughout the game, you're going to be vastly underpowered by the time you reach the end, especially on higher difficulty settings when monsters have more health and hit harder. And since you want to collect everything in order to make your experience better, exploring is a bit of a pain because there is no mini-map, and on your first or second time through, you can pretty much get lost very easily. One of the major things that will probably turn off a lot of people is that once you get far enough into the game, you stop getting enough skills to make the combat feel exactly new. So once you get to later levels of the story, you're not learning anything new to spice up the combat, and you're facing pretty simple enemies. They do have certain abilities that will change it up a little bit, but you're still hacking and slashing. The only thing that really keeps you going is those boss battles that I mentioned earlier. Overall, despite its flaws, the boss battles, the great story, and the interesting combat to a point, as well as good platforming, good controls, make this a really fun game for me. After you've beaten the game, you can get a time trial mode where you can fight all of the bosses without having to go through the levels again, which is quite fun. And also a arena mode where you fight groups of enemies from certain levels depending on which level you select, and face people on the Steam leaderboards. And it's actually quite fun. So, even though it has its flaws, it's got the good replayability with the extra modes and extra characters. It's got good story and boss battles. So overall, it gets Zarlin's pretty good seal of approval. Go ahead and play this. It's pretty gosh darn fun.